Okay guys, welcome back, and in the previous video we are successfully able to register our register blade, not the blade, it's a view, and then also login and dashboard stuff, right? So now the time is to submit this register form on the server side. So we'll build the API routes and then send our request on the server. So before this, how we can submit request from this Vue.js, right? So now simply go here and let's say here in the VS Code I notice, and one student mentioned that your VS Code is a little bit far from us, or maybe I'm using the 2x, right, 2x screen, so that's why it's not properly visible for you. So I now increase this size so it will be now easier to read on eye, right, because now it's bigger. And here I have opened this register view, right, and I'm going to submit the form using this register. So let's open the register form here. This one is a register form which is under HTML and bootstrap content, right? So I'm going to make this now Vue.js. So let's get started. So here, whenever I want to submit the form in the whenever we are doing this in the HTML, so we do this something submit and then action, define the action. But in Vue.js we need to handle the not the click, handle the submit, right? And then we need to submit on a method. So I'm going to define a method register, so I'll define it later in the script tag, right? And this one is a name attribute, and when we want to get the name from in when we want to get the value from the input, we use v model, right? So this view model v model is responsible for two-way binding, right? Whenever we are coding this in the HTML, or we are doing this without page refresh using jQuery or Ajax, so we are using a one-way binding, right? One-way binding. So we are first getting the value, then processing the value, and then appending it again, right? But in Vue.js, whenever we are interacting with the input, right, we change something in the input, so it will be automatically changed in the DOM too. You don't need to manually first to get the value and then update it again, right? If you will change this from the your input, your script tag, like if you open your browser and you want to change this using Vue dev tool, and then this will be automatically filled in this input field too. That is the beauty of this v model. So here I'm going to define this v model for name. So just say v model, and then pass the name. So I'll create this variable in a minute, right? And then on this email I'm going to also call this v model, and this would be the email. And then let's move to the further here, v model, and this would be the password. Password, make it properly, and then this would be the confirm password, v model, and this would be the confirmed password, right? Something like this. And then later on we don't need this checkout button, right? Checkbox. Okay, save this one, and now we need these variables and this register method. So let's start the script tag. So I like this way that we are handling our front-end stuff, our CSS stuff, and our script tags separately in each component. So that's the beauty of this Vue.js. So here I'm going to open the script tag, where I'm going to use I'm going to use the optional API, right? So in Vue.js there are two types of APIs: optional APIs and composition API, right? In this short series I'm going to follow the optional series, and maybe, I'm not promised, but maybe I'll shoot this same with the composition API too. But for now I'm going to move with the composition in the using the optional API. So here I'm going to say that export default, let me correct it, export default, and here I'm going to define first data property to define my variables. data, and in the data I'm going to define the return object. Okay, and in the return object I'm going to define my name variable, right, and this should be the string, right. So this name variable is, we are using it here in the V model. So I'm going to also define the email, password, and so on things, right. So just go here and say that to email, and this would be the string too, also the password same, and then password confirm, something like this, confirm password. So this would be also empty, and then I'm going to create an array of errors where I will catch my errors, and this should be an array. Okay, and then I'll also define a message where I will collect the success message. So success message, something like this, and this would be also the string. So I define those variables and I will assign those values to these variables later on, right. Perfect. Now we need to this register method. So first define, okay, and define the methods property here. Spell it correctly, methods, and here I'm going to pass my method name, which is register. Define my method here. I'm going to say that alert hello, right. Save this one, and let's go and click on this register, and it says hello, right. If I go here to the top, it's submitting this register event on this register, right, and we are submitting our request. Perfect, and we are successfully able to view this message, right. But if sometime whenever your page is refreshing, so you can add a behavior here on this register. So you can define this using the define the JavaScript native stuff like e.prevent to defaults, something like this, or you can do with the Vue.js way, which is let's see, okay, it's now refreshing the web page. If I click on this register, okay, and it's refreshing the web page, right. And here how you can prevent this, simply call this prevent here. So this will now not going to refresh web page. Click on this, okay, and not refreshing the web page. Perfect. We are successfully able to prevent this, and now I'm going to first check that first getting my password and confirm password that these are matched. So then I'm going to send the request, otherwise not. So here I'm going to check that if this dot password not equal this dot confirmed password, so then say that this dot errors, I'm going to assign a message in this error that your password does not match with confirmed password, right, something like this. So I added this in the error, and I define this errors array here. So I'm adding this into this array because I will call this later on. And here if I want to after that I want to say that return, right, so not execute this script anymore, right. So I'm going to add a space to make this readable for you, and after that I'm going to submit the request. So here I'm going to say that console.log is this reaching this out here. Click on this register, and HH, I'm getting the HH where I'm getting this HH because I haven't entered this password. So 1 2 and 1 2 3. Click on this register, and now you can see that this HH isn't executing. But if I say that 3, click on this, so it's now executing. So it's mean that it's checking that if the password isn't correct, so it will appending this error in this array, right. And later on I will show this error on the top, right. Perfect. Now I want to say that if the password is matched, I want to send my request on the server. So we will build the API endpoint later, but let's suppose that we have API/register endpoint. So I'm going to submit to request on API/register to register my user. So we will use Axios, and Axios you don't need to install the Axios because in Laravel by default Axios is installed, right? Okay, and here I'm going to say that axios.post. I'm going to submit the post request because we are submitting a form, and then define my endpoint here. Okay, and here I'm going to say that name, I'm going to pass my objects here, this dot name, right? And then I'm going to mention same password and so on things. This would be the email, this would be the password, and we don't need to submit our password, our confirmed password on the server because we are handling this here. Perfect. And after that, whenever our request is submitted, I want to say that then, and in the then I want to say arrow function, and here I'm going to say that console.log request sent or something, or I can get here the response. Okay, and I'm going to print this response here, right? And if I will get any error, I want to catch those errors, so make sure to spell it correctly, catch error, and then I'm going to catch my errors here in the console.log, and then define this error, and we can get those error using error property. So for now, just I'm going to submit my request. So let's click on this, and it says that request to 404 failed. Why? Because we are submitting our request on the server, which register method doesn't exist. So it's sending us response. So here we can say that error dot to response dot data. So just say that, get the message here. So post method is not supported for API/register, right? So we need to first to define this route. So let's go here, and on the controller side, I'm going to create a controller. Here I haven't added any controller, and make sure to add your controller in the API. So I'm going to split this out. I'm not going to split this out because maybe it's going to hide hidden with my camera, so that's why I'm going to open this here at the top. So create a controller, php artisan make controller, right? Controller, and I want to create this into the API directory. So API, and then in the API I'm going to define my version, right? I'm going to say that v1, right? So always mention your API version earlier, right? If this app is at this point, my application isn't too big, right? But maybe in the future it will. So that's why I need to define the version v1. If I will not specify v1, so maybe in the future it would be hard for me to replace my endpoints because my clients are using these endpoints. So make sure to add them into the proper prefix and with the proper directory. And then I'm going to say that I'm not going to define 3 controller like login controller, register controller, and so on things. I'm going to create auth controller where I'll add those functionalities. So auth controller, hit enter, and yes, this controller is created here. And I'm going to say that define the register method here, public function register, and in the register I'm going to say that return request all, right? So let me define my request here. I'm going to use the Laravel built-in request. Save this one, and now just go to api.php file, and here I'm going to register my route here, right? So my route would be, later on I will add this into the middleware, guest middleware, or we can leave them as it is. Here I'm going to say that post, and API endpoint would be, we don't need to add the API prefix because it's already applied in the api.php file. So I'm going to say that register, okay, and then I'm going to say that auth controller, and then this will be class register, and then here we don't need to specify its name. Okay, just go here, we define this already. So now if I want to submit this request on this one, and here I want to say yeah, save this one, and let's go and click on this register. So it says that request is sent, and defining that OK, and we are getting this from this response. So if I say that response dot data, so submit this and click on this register, it's getting name null and everything is null, right? So let's say it's fake filler Chrome extension to fill this data. Click on this register, and yes, we are getting the name, email and password, right? So we are getting this password. So it means that our request is submitted on the server, and we will also implement the validations here to validate our field that if for example name is missed and it's required, it will throw an exception, and we can display it here that this is mandatory, right? So I think that's it for this video, and our video size is going bigger, so I'll shoot the further stuff in the next video. Thanks for watching the video.